Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Super Feeler podcast. My name is Lori, and I'm very excited for another installment of our Families Stories series. So, today I'm joined by Charlene, who is going to be sharing a little bit about her experience navigating the borderline world with her daughter, Cassie. And just before we get into it, I just want to say Cassie has given us her consent to share about her story. So just want to make sure that that's really clear right from the start. So, Charlene, welcome. It's so nice to have you. We haven't met because you're on the literal other side of the country from me.
Absolutely. Yep. At the East Coast, right on the edge of Newfoundland.
Ugh, so literally a dream place to visit. So I'm very, very, yeah, if I ever come out there, I'll give you a call.
Definitely. And I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Well, do you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself and your family, just so we can kind of get a bit of a picture here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I live in Newfoundland right now. We were in Alberta for 25 years. So, a lot of the story started in Alberta, but actually, even before that, and I didn't know, but I grew up with a mother who undiagnosed clearly now was borderline personality. Like walking on eggshells was a way I was brought up, right? And you never knew when the rage was going to start. And then, I didn't realize that, but survived it, got through it, and met my husband. We moved to Alberta. And then, right around the time when my daughter Cassie was born, my husband went into a major depression
Oh, wow.
and struggled with addictions and all kinds of things. And so she was born into this environment. And right from the get go, there was upsets in her personality. She has an older brother who's 3 years older, and he was very quiet, and both of them were so extremely different, but we always thought it was because of what was going on with their dad. And later in life, unfortunately, I felt guilty for many years. It wasn't until my son was in his early 20s, he got diagnosed with high functioning autism. And my daughter was in her late teens before she got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and a whole list of other things that go along with it.
Yeah, I think you said like ADHD,
Yeah.
anxiety, BPD, so
Uh,
the whole list.
yeah, two sheets, right?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you said she was in her late teens?
Yeah, so all along we knew there was something up, and every
Hmm.
caregiver she'd ever kind of been with, while I was working, they were like, something's not right. You have to get this girl tested. We were at every specialist you can imagine, including like, okay, she had heart palpitations. What's that all about? So wore a heart rate monitor
Yep.
for many
Been
times, right?
there. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, she had a scope put down her nose to see what's going on. Well, she couldn't breathe at times. Well, we didn't know then it was panic
Anxiety.
disorder, right?
Yeah.
So many, many things. But then her first suicide attempt when she was 14
Hmm.
was devastating. And I was no idea, not equipped, didn't know what to do. And then when I did find some resources, and then finally we started to get a little bit of attention that this wasn't just teen angst,
Yes, totally.
right? Like there's something more serious going on. It's not just overreacting because her father's not around, right?
Yeah. Was he fully out of the picture at this point?
Yes, yeah, yeah. His mental health still is not better. He is
Hmm.
still unhoused, in trouble with the law, and like I would argue that there's probably some traits that overlap
Yeah.
there looking back, right? Like I really felt like looking like many people thought I was like an antagonist in our relationship for
Hmm.
his emotional dysregulation, let's call it,
Right.
right? Which was
Yeah.
extreme. But yeah, he hasn't been active or a positive role model in her life for quite some time, which has made it even more complicated, right?
Yeah, that would be just so distressing to know. Like, even if you're not close with your parent, to know that that's kind of what they're going through. I can't even imagine how distressing that would be. And for you, too.
Yeah, it's definitely caused a lot of challenges. And like I said, where her brother is on the autistic spectrum, he doesn't deal with emotions in the same way.
Yeah.
And her father does attack her and rage at her quite readily, and then I'm always kind of feeling, okay, how do we navigate these stormy waters, because like literally there's hurricanes coming from every angle at times.
Yeah. And forever, like basically since she was a
Yeah,
baby.
yeah.
And so it sounds like her and I had a lot in common in terms of this like kind of undiagnosed medical things that they couldn't find a physical reason for, which then later turned out to be anxiety, panic disorder, and stuff. Were there notable challenges outside of the anxiety symptoms when she was a kid that are like notable?
Oh, definitely. Like anything you could imagine that was extreme. Like, she challenged us on every way, right? And like, whether it was getting in trouble at school, but yet like getting in trouble for behavioral troubles, but yet getting straight A's and being bored
Mm-hmm.
and reporting to have a really high IQ with an assessment. So,
Yeah.
so those things happened. But then when you would be at home, she'd be so much fun. And then it would just switch. And like, I always used to say, nobody can love you as hard as Cassie. And boy, if you cross her, look out. Right.
Yeah. There's a
So
reason
that
this
was,
show's called Super Feeler, right? Because
oh,
it's there's really
definitely.
positive things that come out of it, and it's a superpower to feel strongly, but it can come bite you. It will bite you.
Yeah. And so it definitely caused more challenges. And at the same time, it actually gave Cassie a very unique outlook on life. And
Mm.
she's 22 now, or 23. Sorry, recently had a birthday, and I forgot it. I forgot that she was 23 the other day and said 22. She's like, "Mom," right? But yeah, at 23, she's lived such a life, and she's so strong and independent and fierce in everything she does. Like it is a superpower for her now that she understands
Yes.
how to navigate it.
And that's the clinch, right? Is like you have to understand yourself and you have to be able to learn the skills to be able to harness this power of the strong emotions for good instead of, I don't want to say evil, but you know, kind of good instead of really harmful, I suppose, for yourself and others.
Well, right. I mean, there was times when she was in trouble with the law. She was doing a lot of really harm to herself, including self-harm and suicide,
Yeah.
and also like drugs and illegal activity and violent behavior. And there was times when I would not be alone with her. It was so
Yeah.
scary, right? So to see where she is now, it's amazing. Yeah.
I want to get into where she is now in a minute, but I'm also curious, there's a lot of things here. The suicide attempt at 14, the challenges just like with the family dynamic overall, and challenges with law, drugs, whatever, self-harm. What was the hardest thing for you as a family member? What are some of those hardest moments?
Definitely for me, it went back and forth between guilt and not knowing what to do. And I don't
Mm,
have a big family myself, so I didn't have a lot of support, right? So with her father struggling, all of his family was focused on him, right?
right.
I was just supposed to go take care of Cassie, right?
Yeah.
And my mom was able to help as best she could, but when she would get triggered, then they would blow up as well. So like I said, always feeling like I was that getting the storm from several different places and
Hmm.
not knowing where to get help, and no one was really listening. Like you go and meet with a healthcare practitioner, more so it's the traditional style, right? And they want to hear about Cassie, yeah, from Cassie. Even at, a
Right.
younger age, they wanted her. It's like really hard to advocate for her to say, no, this is what I'm seeing. And then who was helping me? Like,
Yes.
there was no help around for me. And I was barely keeping together, and I would be struggling with, oh, my mom would say, oh, you got to be tougher on her. She doesn't like no. And then when I would say no, things would get worse, or say
Yeah.
she can't live here anymore because of her violent behavior. But then where was she going to live? Like, it was
Hmm.
always like there was no right answer for me. It was a constant fear,
Yeah.
fear. Like, just, is she going to make it through? Am I going to
And
make
are
it through?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really scary. And I know, yeah, lots of families feel that way. I know mine sure did. And I think we're still living with those consequences, and I'm 32, you know?
Right.
So what did help you? Anything? You found Sashbear eventually, but was there any support that the system provided you as a parent?
There was some systems, living in Calgary at the time, they had some systems. They had a program called PCHAD, was a protective order you could get for children abusing drugs. And so you would get a court order and that would put your child in a locked-in treatment facility.
Oh, interesting.
And I did take advantage of that because I was like, I just need her locked up so she's not going to hurt anybody, right?
Yeah.
And hoping then if I could get her off of whatever she was using long enough, we could start treatment. And that was really, really hard to do, right? Like it was so hard, but I felt like I had no choice. Like I literally was researching online, where can I find military schools? Like where can I protect her from herself, right? So this PCHAD was an attempt to do that with the system. Unfortunately, after, they're only in there for a few days. And then after they come out, they have to be willing to go. So we went through the cycle of that. That was helpful. And there was some support to me, and it gave me breaks. Yeah. And then they did have a parent information group that I went to, and they did have some parent support that they provided for me as well. And in that parent support, they actually told me, hey, there's this other program called Family Connections. You might want to check that out. Because I also always said, like, why me? Why do I have to go through my mother, my husband, my daughter? Like, what's going on? And I said, the only purpose must be is one day I've got to share my story. One day it's got to help somebody. And then so the person who told me, the clinician who told me about Family Connection said, this is actually peer facilitated as well. So that might actually help you be a place you could share your story like you feel might be helpful. And that was life-saving. Yeah. Yeah.
Peer connection is life-saving.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so important and free too, right? Family Connections?
Yes,
or is there a small cost to it? No, free.
100% free. Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes a huge difference, right? Because so many people can't afford to, you have to make really tough decisions. Do you pay for your kid to go to private care? Do you help yourself go to private care? Like there's so many really challenging decisions that come through that.
It is not cheap to have a child who is struggling and needs help. Yeah.
Nope. Especially struggling with this kind of challenge, right?
Yeah.
So when did borderline personality disorder first get said in the conversation?
Yeah, it really wasn't until after 18, but at 15, when we were going to see a psychiatrist, and I was starting to get educated now when she was 15 about what BPD was, and I had started Family Connections as a participant myself.
Oh, great.
And was learning about it then, and I asked her psychiatrist, okay, I'm seeing all this, but these all sound like traits of borderline personality disorder, right? He said, yes, absolutely. We won't write that, but you're right to assume the traits are there. And if she was over 18, we would be saying that. But
how do you feel about that?
Refused. You know what? I went back and forth with it because I was like, does that prevent her from getting treatment? Like, what about the diagnosis? And then I was like, okay, if you're not going to give me the diagnosis, make sure that you get the treatment in the gateway. So there was a bit of that. And then the stigma. So I was torn, right? So we did go on and get the treatment, and the stigma was already happening. So for me, it was like, call it what it, I would have preferred, call it what it is, and let's just get moving, right? That's so silly that we can't say it because the stigma was already there. It didn't matter, right?
And it's an arbitrary
my daughter
line.
Was crazy,
Yeah, is that better or worse? Like, me, I think that that's worse because I know I felt like just a horrible human being who couldn't control my violence and couldn't control my emotions, and I'm just like messed up.
Yes.
But if I had a name, once I got a name for it, I was like, oh, this is a mental illness that other people have, and there's I can understand it, and I have. And then maybe stronger opinions than I should.
Right? Like before that, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this list of 30 things. Where am I finding that? oh, but wait, if I can find a group that's, peers and for borderline personality, for loving someone with borderline personality, I can
Yeah.
read books about borderline personality.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of those resources available without the diagnosis, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that you were able to find Sashbear before the diagnosis because I always worry that even for the family members, that's, that gap of what, 3, 4 years is huge. You could have had extra support for that full time. So I'm so
I
glad that
wish I
somebody
had it
recommended
when
them.
she was 2. Like,
That too.
And
Very
we
fair.
are seeing that more often. We're seeing younger and younger people coming into family connections, right? Like recently I had people in my class I was facilitating with their children 7 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, again, I think we should be teaching any human like emotion regulation stuff from kindergarten
Oh my
or
God, you're
younger.
speaking my language. And
It's
actually,
ridiculous.
I try to do that in my work. I work in technical design, but the
Mm,
role I have in the company, I've been able to introduce them to monthly mental health moments where I
amazing.
talk at very high level in a very positive way
Yeah.
about the skills you need to talk to people, including
Yes.
validation, the superpower, right? Yeah,
Totally. Validation. I mean, like dear man skills, I use that at work all the time.
me
Like
too.
constantly. It's so
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah.
So what did treatment look like for Cassie in the end?
So again, that was a really rocky road. I mean, I know most people have very complicated stories. It took a while to get us to get her to treatment that landed. I ended up moving to Newfoundland, and she was supposed to move with me during COVID, and she was undergoing treatment, but I didn't know, like outpatient. But she wasn't taking any of her meds. She was hardly ever home. She was using her own medications of choice, which were not healthy. And then when
Hmm.
it came time to like, okay, let's get in the car, we're going, she refused to get in the car with me. So I moved to Newfoundland and said, okay, I'll get a place for you and it'll be there. I can't continue to stay here and watch what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like she was in very unhealthy, doing a lot of bad drugs, hanging around with a really tough crowd. And and then I had realized, right, not going to treatment. So when we came to Newfoundland, she did come 6 months later. She called me
Okay.
up and she said, "Mom, I have to come," and admitted that the person she was living with was abusing her, and she was in a really bad shape. I had to get an exclusion from the government to allow her to travel because it was during COVID
Oh, right.
and we weren't allowed to travel and had to get an outreach worker to claim, well, which was truth, but to
Yeah.
write a
That she
letter
was leaving an
about
abuse situation.
an abuse situation. And he had
Wow.
stolen all her ID. So then we were trying to hide. It was so hard. Anyway, I know I've gone on a bit of a tangent, but when she
No,
got
it's
off
important.
that plane and it took a couple of weeks to actually get her here, and I saw her, I just cried. She was bruised up and so skinny, malnourished, like anorexic. And then we're like, okay, now how do we get you in treatment in Newfoundland? It took me
Yeah.
2 years to get a general practitioner doctor. It was
Yeah.
so hard, but fortunately, I did have a connection from an old high school friend, whose her sad story is her son did die by suicide.
Mm.
And they actually started the Jacob Pudister Foundation as a result to help people who don't have doctors and to get free counseling.
Oh,
And
amazing.
she got into the Jacob Pudister Foundation and did counseling with them for about a year until she aged out because they do like kind of 16 to like early adult to like 20.
That's
And
important. That's the biggest gap here or biggest gap
right.
period. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that was so super helpful. And since then, she's gone in and out of treatment on her um, own to
Hmm.
DBT or CBT type therapy. I still haven't got a psychiatrist or a medical doctor to
Wow.
follow her, and she's been here 5 years now.
Wild.
Yeah.
Has have DBT and CBT been helpful for her?
Very much, very, very helpful. So she's unmedicated and doing very well through the DBT and CBT. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes a huge difference. Like I'm medicated, and that's important for my own mental health, but I always say like medication's not going to solve your problem either. Like you have to learn the skills.
Absolutely. And we've had discussions about that. Like maybe there's, some things that she could benefit from, right? But again, still waiting to get in to see
Yeah.
that doctor. It hasn't happened yet. And she does such a great job of balancing it. But we work together, right? So
Yeah. Does she
with
live with
me
you?
being, she does, yes.
Okay,
And so
nice.
with me being skillful and her also, that it really does help because we can speak that same language and help
Hmm.
balance each other.
Yeah, that's great. And what's life like for her now?
She's actually going to school full time right now. So she's doing welding.
Oh, cool.
I work in a shipbuilding design firm, and we were offering a program last year to bring people who were like not sure what career they wanted in and do some training and exposure. So she came in and did 7 weeks of training about shipbuilding design and decided, no, I don't want to design them, I want to build them. So she
Perfect.
enrolled in welding, and she's doing really well with that right now. Yeah.
Good. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So, um, what helped you better understand what BPD was? Just family connections?
Family Connections was the start of me understanding. I've always been a big advocate for mental health. I will always read and go like right from now. I didn't with my mom because I didn't know what it
Right.
was. I thought that's how you parented. And boy, I was
Right.
like, right, no, that's not how parenting works, right? But when my husband got sick,
Hmm.
I read everything I could about depression. They for his first diagnosis was depression, then it was anxiety, then there was some ADHD. So I kept layering on these already
Yeah.
before I knew. And then when my daughter started to show how spirited she was, I read books like Raising Your Spirited Child, or your what was it, the other one, not highly functioning. Anyway, there's a few child books, but they weren't labeling it either. But they
Right.
were talking about these things,
Hmm.
right? The emotion dysregulation. So I was learning without learning, right?
Yes.
Without the label, until I found Family Connections. And then it was like, oh, this is everything I've been living and learning my entire life.
Yes.
Like my library of books all kind of fed into that, right? So
Yeah.
self-educated for sure, and Family
Yeah.
Connections. Yeah.
So you're a facilitator with Family Connections. Can
Yes.
you tell us a little bit about what Sashbear and Family Connections are?
Yeah, so Sashbear is an organization, nonprofit organization, nationally in Canada, based out of Ontario, and it was created by Lynn Curry and her husband Mike after their daughter died by suicide, and they were attending a program in the U.S. That was, I don't know if it was actually called Family Connections at the
I
time.
think it is actually. Oh, at the time, yeah. I
At
think it
the
is
time,
now.
I'm not sure, right? But they were traveling
Hmm.
to Boston from
Yeah.
Toronto to do that program. And then after Sasha died, they realized that no, we need to bring this to Canada. So they started the foundation, and that was in 2014, I believe, or no, maybe 2012. I found it in 2019. Um,
Okay.
so I've been there with them for 6 years now. Um, and what Family Connections was a place where first time ever I was like, oh my God, other people? There's other people going through this. There's other parents like me who just don't know what to do, who just don't have any hope. Like, I showed up that day, I had no hope. I wasn't sleeping. I was like, no daughter of mine is going to die by suicide. I am going to watch her every breath. Okay, well, that was
Yeah.
never going to work, right?
Yeah, that's not
but
possible.
but I
Yep.
showed up feeling like that was the
Hmm.
only hope I had, was I
Yeah.
was going to stop her, which isn't even realistic, or definitely not sustainable. So that first day, and we did the classes in person, then I
Mm.
learned that I'm not alone and there is hope to be had, which I didn't know where to find any. And so that's what Family Connections does, is it brings together people who are going through similar things, dealing with emotional dysregulation. It helps educate you on what this is, and it brings you into a room with people with lived experience, and you get to hear from facilitators who've lived it, taken the program, and seen how it's made changes to their life. And immediately I knew, okay, well, I'm going to be sharing my story here. And I continue to do that because watching the group come in and they come in week one, it's, the traditional and the most effective way I feel is to do the 12-week program, although there are other ways to do it. When they come in that first class and you just see they just have no hope. And when they
Yeah.
leave in week 12, so much lighter and smiles on their faces. Not much has changed at home, but they
Right.
now have skills. And we teach the family members skills and hope and things they can do to take care of themselves and how to just breathe. Because I forgot how to breathe, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What gives you that hope personally?
Um, you can hear the dog.
Yeah, I can. I love it.
Yeah.
He's very hopeful.
Yeah. He's a husky. He likes to talk and add
Oh,
in
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah. What gives me hope, honestly, the skills, the tools, the radical acceptance, the knowing that I don't need to change her. I don't need
Hmm.
to fix her. I don't need to change me. We're just living this life. This is who we are, and it's beautiful, and it's stormy sometimes. So just knowing that this storm is going to pass too. We're going to get through it. There's still times when I get dysregulated, my daughter gets dysregulated, my mom gets dysregulated, and now I just know how to sit with them and just be like, okay, I hear you. I'm here. Hold space and let the wave come and go. Right?
Beautifully said. Yeah, I mean, if you said to me, "Oh, we never get dysregulated anymore. Everything's great," I'd be like, "Well, then that doesn't sound right." It's about
No.
learning to live with the dysregulation that I think is the most important part. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. And understanding that it's not a flaw. It's just different.
exactly. Yeah, and there's so much beauty to it. So,
Well, and I've been
oh,
in
sorry, go ahead.
other, sorry, just going to add on, like I've been in other relationships where people don't embrace the emotions. That's a lot harder to navigate, actually, because you don't know what's going on. So,
Hmm.
like, keeping a curious, open mind and being a safe space to share our emotions is how we live in this house.
Beautiful. So there is one other thing that gives me a lot of hope is going to the Sashbear walks every year.
Oh, yes.
So I usually MC the one in BC, which has already happened by the time this episode comes out. It's May 9th. But it's a beautiful collection of human beings that are there to share their own stories, either speakers or just casually when you're going for a walk. And, I don't know if Lynn's coming out to BC this year, the founder of Sashbear, but she has in the past. And I've interviewed her for the show too. So I'll put that in the show notes so people can go back and listen to that story. But there's a walk in Newfoundland, June 20th, right?
That's correct. Yes, this will be our fifth one in Newfoundland. I've been involved with all five of them now, and it actually started in Newfoundland with a family connections class that I was facilitating.
Oh,
And one of the participants says, "Oh, I'd like to organize a walk." And so she did, and we all jumped on. And I tell you, it is the most powerful, wonderful thing to be just all together wearing the orange shirts, carrying a little banner. And people come
yeah.
up to us and say, "What are you doing?" And we tell them,
Yep.
like, "Oh, wow, I could really use that." Or I know somebody who could really use that. It's like, absolutely, please do. And it's, just to break the stigma or have people show up to the walk and I'll ask them, like, how did you hear about it? Oh, I saw something on Instagram and it sounded like, something similar to what my daughter's going through. It's really powerful to break the stigma, change the mindset, open up the conversation. And then also in Newfoundland, we do this thing called mindfulness stones since we live on a rock.
Mm. Yes,
I've
you do live
taken,
on a rock.
I,
Yes.
I have access to a lot of rocks. So we started and we bring little rocks and we put little words on there of
Mm.
whether it be words of affirmation or skills that we teach in family connections. And we make a mindfulness table, and it's a stop during the walk around the lake where you stop and you look at the rocks, you take one that speaks to you or create your own. And we have some blank ones there too. And I have had
Nice.
people come up to me years later and say, "I still have that rock." Right? And we've also had people reach out to Family Connections and say, "Hey, I picked up this rock and I'm curious to learn more. So it's a great awareness piece. If you want to know more, I definitely say come down. And it's, that's my tribe. That's my people. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I say we bleed orange, and I'm proud of it.
absolutely. Yes, I will make sure that there's all the information about how to sign up for the walk and the dates and the location and everything in the notes, because it's one of the best like BPD days, feeling days in my experience, like at least the BC one, where you just go and you're like, I'm with people who genuinely like love their people.
Yes,
And
so
that
true.
is not something everybody's experienced. It's family members and it's people with lived experience and it's their friends and it's strangers too sometimes that just show up to support.
Absolutely. And I grew up with the feeling that like you always have to be a good girl. You need to be seen, not heard. And if someone's struggling, you have to do an intervention, right? You got to cut
Yeah.
them off. It's so opposite. It's connection. It's coming together. It's letting them know that, yeah, okay, what you did was maybe not ideal, and I love you anyway. And you're
Yes.
like, it doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do to make me stop loving you and wanting to be with you and delivering that message to our loved ones, even if we don't like what they're doing. And that's what I love
Totally.
about the walk as well. It's like, I don't necessarily know everybody, and you are now family because we share some bonds. We share the struggles. We have an appreciation that people do struggle with mental health, and not all the answers are in our healthcare system. So we need to do something extraordinary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we can all acknowledge that like the one of the main values of peer support is the fact that it's not necessarily always connected to the healthcare system, right? Because it breaks down so
Yeah,
many barriers.
yeah,
And I mean, I
absolutely.
work in the healthcare system. I love the healthcare system and I know that it's doing its best, but peer support outside of it, it takes down that power dynamic. And
And it
it's a
helps,
really
right?
beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we talk about in family connections, right? Is that there's actually research proven that when us as family members do better, our loved ones do better, and it is
Yeah.
easier on the healthcare system. That is an
Yeah.
important piece of the puzzle, right? But and they can't do it all either, so both need
Yeah.
to coexist, right?
Absolutely. So I've heard from a lot of families. I've interviewed a few already this season for this series that have done family connections. And I think one of the things that is really clear throughout is that they also change as a person in that process. How have you changed as a person through the work that
Oh,
you've done with Sashbear
yeah.
and family connections?
I feel like I'm a different person, like completely
Mm-hmm.
different person. I cared a lot. I tried. And I was also really kind of more like this is how you do it. Like this is what
Right.
the book says. This is what you got to do. Like just do it. Just go do this. That's how I would interact with my husband at the time. It's like you just follow the rules, right?
Yeah.
And I've recently, well, a few times I've had participants ask me in Family Connections, have you always been this calm and understanding? And like, I just really have a really different approach to there
Yeah.
isn't a just do it. Like, no, there isn't a quick fix. However, you want to do it is great. Tell me more.
Mm-hmm.
So, coming with a curious mindset, non judgmental, not having the answers, being open to that collaboration wasn't the way I existed before. Like I'm a technical person at
Yeah.
work and I bring in all these other pieces and it's actually changed my career completely different.
Mm,
All of my relationships, I just I just feel like a completely different person. That person
yeah.
back there, like who was she? She wasn't so easy to get along with. And this person is very compassionate and open-minded, always something to learn, always somewhere to go. And what can I do other than listen? That's it. That's all I can do, right? I'm not here to solve your problems, but I'm always here to listen.
Yeah. Yeah, we cannot make other people do things that they don't want to do. It's a very frustrating part about life, but if you
Yeah.
can acknowledge that's some radical acceptance right there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's so hard when we watch our loved ones struggle. When we watch
Mhm.
anyone struggle, right?
Mhm.
You just want to go, and pick it up for them and put it together. but you're not doing them any services. And I see some of my friends who, have their children didn't struggle so much, and they do almost everything for them. And, I'm not one to judge. And I wonder what would happen if you kind of let them do it their way. Like,
Yeah.
that's been really amazing to watch how she's been able to figure it out with just my support and love.
Right. But not the doing for.
When I was telling her what to do, she was not doing it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We touched a little bit on that radical acceptance piece. But I probably would add that that's so important. And whether it's, just accepting what people do for what it is. And like, so many things that have happened to me or with my relationships. And I tried so hard to like fight them and, fight what was happening. But if you can take a moment and step back and just think like, no, this is happening. This is what it is. And it's really hard to see when you're in it. But taking that moment has been very helpful to me. And so, accepting that my daughter was struggling and had attempted suicide. And if she really wanted to attempt or complete suicide, she was going to find a way.
100%.
So what can I do is I just got to let her know that I'm here, right? And let her do her thing and let me do my thing. And that's really hard to do, but it's the most powerful thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So my last question is, what do you love most about Cassie?
Oh, so much. I love that question. Absolutely. She's so independent, like fiercely independent. I love it. Like, she changes her own winter tires on her car. She's doing welding in school. She, takes care of dogs. She takes care of plants. Like, anything she sets her mind to, she just fiercely does it. And I absolutely love that. And with a passion, real compassion for the people and the things, and almost to a righteous part that sometimes we struggle, like, with, okay, we're polarizing here now. We don't need to worry about that so much. But that fierceness and independence, I'm so proud of her for that. And that comes in many shapes and forms with all of her emotions and being able to embrace those superpowers. She is only 23. I can't wait to see what she does with the rest of it. Yeah.
What a turnaround from 14 to 23, it sounds like.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Life
For
has
the whole
not
family.
been easy. She still struggles with things with her dad. And there are people twice her age that can't handle it the way she does.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is her dad in Calgary or is he in Nova Scotia too? Or Newfoundland, sorry.
He's in Newfoundland right now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And still unhoused and in jail at the moment. So we were just in court a few days ago, trying to find out, well, where is he going to go when he does get out of jail? Because his mental health still very, very poor. And unfortunately, it's a very sad story where he's kind of one of those, that we see that's homeless and we think, why can't they just get help? Or why can't they? It's not an easy answer.
No,
and,
it's not.
And that's always been my biggest fear for him. And now, one of my biggest fears for my children. And I'm so glad that they are on top of their mental health, that I don't see that being a problem for them. But yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about homelessness is almost all of us are not far from it, right? A few things go wrong at the same time. And you're there too. So that's why we have to have so much compassion.
Yeah. I totally agree. And the connection, the loving anyway, and, the loving and is so important.
Yes, and for sure. Well, Charlene, you can find, everyone listening to this can find you at the walk on June 20th in Newfoundland. So I hope that you see people, take pictures.
Yeah, I will actually also be at the walk in Edmonton and Calgary this year.
Oh my gosh. Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so
yeah,
cool. Well, I definitely have listeners. I mean, I'm sure I have listeners in Newfoundland as well, but I know for sure there's a couple of super feelers that come to the peer support group that are in Edmonton. So
yeah.
hopefully they hear this. Do you know what those dates are?
May 9th in Calgary
Okay, that's the same
and
day as the
May
BC one.
23rd, I believe, 22nd or 23rd in Edmonton.
Okay,
Hmm.
well, I'm gonna have to give the couple super feelers in Edmonton that I know for sure, and Calgary actually, this link
Yeah.
early, so that they can hear your story and come up and say hi, because that would be
Oh,
awesome.
that would be so fantastic. Yeah, my son lives there, and I'm also on the board with Sashbear, so
Oh, cool.
I'm really looking forward to checking out their walks as well and bringing my son along and some friends.
Awesome. Well, if you ever find your way out to the BC walk, I will be there. So I hope to see you one day.
I hope so too as well. Thank you, Lori, so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Charlene.